Good evening and welcome. We've got two meetings this evening. We've got the meeting of the executive, normal meeting, and it's very much curtailed because we're in the middle of PERDA. Somebody declared a general election for reasons that I don't know. So it's almost a sort of part one and part two. The executive meeting will be after PERDA in December, which will pick up the items which we can't pick up tonight. So, starting off with apologies, my colleagues.
Harry Bath.
And of course, Gregor. And there's somebody else I'm missing.
Charlotte
and Stuart, yeah. Coming to the minutes of the previous meeting, are there any comments? All Corinne, no. Can I sign the minutes?
Yeah.
Everybody happy? Any declarations of interest? No. I don't think there's any public questions tonight. There's one member's question.
Caroline here.
Caroline here? So, no, we'll just give a written answer. That was quick. This will be a record. We have to approve the fees and charges because they come into operation during the period we have to announce them. So they have to. The normal business of the council has to continue, even though we are in PERDA. So the fees and charges have to be approved. And I have an amendment to the fees and charges, which is to introduce a new charge for the EU settlement scheme, the ID document scanning service for non-borough residents. Well, hang on, just let me do this and then have a seat there. Take your coat off, calm down. So the fees that need to be introduced are that the executive approves a fee of £14 for the e-settlement scheme ID document service for the non-borough residents to be introduced the 1st December. So that's free for borough residents, but only for non-residents. The logic is that if we make it free for everybody, then the experience is that we will have all of the residents for the other local authorities. So that's an amendment for skis. And anybody any comments on the other fees and charges? With the amendment, is everybody happy to vote those through? Those, yeah? Caroline, would you like to take a question?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
Thank you. My question is there going to be any...
Thank you, Karen. I'm answering that because Charlotte's not here, and I hold the portfolio for housing. Phase 2 of the Carnival Regeneration Scheme will deliver. It's a fantastic new leisure centre, cultural and community facility for our residents. This includes a new library, new swimming pool, and a new sports hall and studios that can be converted for performance and community use. Then there will also be extended fitness provision and children's soft play area. The centre has been designed to make it more accessible for all the residents along the lines of the new facilities. Along these new facilities, over 51 and 2-bedroom apartments are being built on the site. A key aim of the council, wider town centre generation, is to deliver a range of additional benefits, including a mix of community, social and leisure uses such as the new Elmsfield play area, public realm improvements and key worker housing as we've delivered in Peach Place. These would not necessarily be delivered to such an extent if the council was not the developer of these projects, and it was led solely by a private sector developer. In order to deliver the wide range of leisure, cultural and community facilities in phase 2 of Carnival scheme, the council is taking a lower financial return on the development on the site than would normally be acceptable to a private developer. Unfortunately, this does mean that there is insufficient remaining finances within the project specifically to fund on-site affordable housing. However, the scheme is contributing over £800,000 to community infrastructure levy, as well as being used to contribute to the provision of other infrastructure and services across the borough. It could be used to afford, and this money could be used to afford affordable housing projects elsewhere. The council remain strongly committed to the provision of affordable homes and working with our housing association partners and our own housing companies. Last year we delivered 365 new affordable homes. And with this year, 2019-20, we're also expecting to deliver 380.
So that was a no then? There's
Yes,
no
it is.
affordable housing, and will there be some assurance in that extra money you put on one side you're going to commit to some affordable housing?
Okay, we are doing some restructuring with regards to our housing companies, which are cross-party now. We have directors from different parties there, and one of the things we're making a commitment to is to deliver 1,000 homes in 4 years, and those homes, a vast majority of those homes will be affordable, okay? And we will be using various streams of finance to deliver those homes. We'll be using the headroom, which is basically what they can borrow in the HRA, which will mean they will be able to deliver more social housing, and we will be using commuted affordable sums to deliver affordable housing. And also, as you probably know, the council are committed to commercial investments. Parts of these commercial investments will be housing as we move forward.
Thank you very much, and thanks for letting me slot in.
John, the Arborfield and Barkham Neighbourhood Plan.
You'll remember I brought this to the executive for approval to go to the examination and the examiner. That has been done. And we're now at the stage where there has been some feedback from the examiner that's been incorporated in the report that you have in front of you. And the next step is to get your approval this evening to accept the next stage, which would lead us to a referendum on the 6th of February 2020. It's all detailed in the report on page 73. Don't think it's controversial. I think it's a very good thing, and Arborfield and Barkham will be our second area with a neighbourhood plan. Any questions?
Yes, I mean, this is very important. I obviously represent Barkham as the ward member, and I'm a parish councillor at Arborfield. I can tell you this is 4 years of very hard work, very committed work by the councillors to produce this. It's a very professional piece of work, and I'm sure there will be many other councils which will be taking this, lifting it, changing the names and using it to go forward to present their plans. Thank you.
They're approved.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm basically, as I always do, I'm coming here to the executive tonight to ask for more money. This is a project which is called the Gorick Square Development, which is in Westcott Ward, which is being carried out by a housing company. Originally, on the 29th of September 2016, land between 24 and 25 Gorick Square was transferred to Wokingham Housing Limited for it to develop a single 3 or 4 bedroom bungalow on the site where wheelchair access was possible. At the time, the estimated cost would be £348,962, and it was approved at the executive. But prior to the planning of the application being submitted, the adult social care team identified a more appropriate need for the site and asked for the scheme to be completely redesigned to provide a bespoke bungalow for 3 individuals with learning and physical difficulties. As a result, the scheme has now changed significantly from that one presented on 2016, and the plan includes 3 ensuite bedrooms, staff offices, shared kitchen and living room, which totals 155 square metres, which is 50% bigger than the original proposal. We have 3 identified people to live in this house, so it's quite important that we get it done quite quickly. What we're asking for is the sum has gone to £815,000 from 349. But if I could just refer members to page 126, you will see the business case there. Okay, as you can see, it makes more than an adequate return, and of course it allows independent living for these 3 people with quite severe disabilities. So if there's any questions?
Well, Chairman, I have to declare an interest because I'm the chairman of Nottingham Homes that will benefit from this. So
Okay.
I can't really...
Right. Noted.
Any questions? Any other questions? I would like to say that I'm actually proud to bring this forward because these are the people we should be looking after in the borough, and therefore I recommend its approval. Those in favour? Thank you. Harry.
Completely different project.
Carnival pool site. The construction of the new leisure centre and library of the Carnival site will start on site in summer of next year, and the new facility will open in summer of 22. The procurement process to appoint a build contractor has begun, and site preparations will begin in the new year. The appropriation process is part of the due process to ensure that we're ready to start on site next year with no legal outstanding and property issues. Appropriation is a statutory process that the LAs can exercise to reallocate land for one purpose, e.g. public open space, employment, housing, to a planning purpose, i.e. development, under Section 237 of the Town and Country Planning Act 1990. The effect of this reallocation is to ensure that the statutory construction projects can proceed, even if they result in the infringement of a right of access or etc. over the site in favour of any site landowner. Without appropriation, a third-party landowner might otherwise be able to hold the project to ransom by unreasonable commercial demands or injunctive relief to protect the right that the property is infringing. Appropriation often works alongside the use of compulsory purchase orders, and the two are closely related. CPO powers allow an LA to purchase an interest in a target property for statutory purposes, physical, environmental, social benefit against the will of the owner, subject to a statutory valuation and compensation code. It is usually for any CPO resolution to include a resolution to appropriate the same land at the same time. Appropriation allows LA to override a third-party right over target property that benefits a remote parcel of land, i.e. a right of light, supports access or oversailing, subject to a statutory CPO-based compensation code. Generally speaking, the LAs will seek to identify all the interests in a CPO and rights over the target site during the scheme feasibility stage. In the case of a CPO, acquisition of the target site is extremely easy to identify affected owners of registered land via the land registry and other requisitions. But in the case of the third-party rights over the target site, it is more difficult to identify all potential interests until construction starts and potential claims come forward. This is because potential off-site claims may depend upon the nature of the development on the target land and the means of delivery. That is why appropriation is so important, as it immediately converts any third-party claim from a potential showstopper to a compensatable claim via statutory code. It's all very technical, this stuff, but it's very important. Appropriation has been used by WBC across all the town centre regeneration sites, including Peach Place, Elmfields, and now Carnival. So far, we have not had to rely upon the actual statutory status of appropriated land to defend any third-party claims. This is because all our projects have been based on through land ownership research and extensive negotiated acquisition of all the necessary rights linked to sympathetic design and construction management process. In the case of Carnival, we expect to have identified all the land ownerships, including third-party rights, but we can never be 100% sure. And that is why the insurance policy of appropriation is necessary, safeguard in advance of starting works on site. It would be responsible of the local authority not to appropriate, but the process itself does not necessarily indicate the project expects to infringe any third-party right that has not already been compromised by agreement. In July 2019, the Executive resolved to acquire the property known as Southgate House by CPO, and subject to CPO to then appropriate the site for planning processes. The only reason why the Executive is being asked again to approve the appropriation in isolation is because we have since succeeded in purchasing Southgate House by agreement, and therefore the existing approval to appropriate needs to revising to remove the precondition of making the CPO, which is the bottom line. Any questions? No, Lindsay. Any questions? No? All in favour? Thank you very much. That concludes the business of the Executive for tonight. Thank you very much for attending. As I say, it was a fairly dry Executive because of the PERDA and the election taking place.